full time at the Forsyth Bar Stadium, and New Zealand have held out against France. But I tell you what, it was not smooth sailing for the All Blacks. A French side which is kind of under a lot of criticism for being weakened and not being the best stars. I mean, people going as far as saying that the All Blacks should stop inviting French teams to come and play New Zealand because they don't send their strongest team. Well, it was almost a victory for France. And I tell you what, this really lights up next week's test, because all of a sudden this shows that this French young side has got the talent to go toe-to-toe with the All Blacks. 31 points to 27, and the All Blacks under a lot of pressure late on in the game as France were desperately searching for a potentially winning try. But what a game. What a game of rugby, and really sort of kicks off, the day of rugby brilliantly. I mean, to be fair, we saw Japan come back to beat Wales. We've seen some really good rugby so far this weekend. This game shows you that the stakes in World Rugby are closer than ever, and you think that there's so many French stars missing, and yet they still came within 4 points. It says quite a lot of different things, and we're going to go through that. Before we do, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and let's get into it, shall we? There we go, that's what I'm looking for. So France took the lead. Actually, they started like a bit of a house on fire, and that's always a possibility, in fairness. That's always a possibility to potentially be able to sort of get up to during the week, build up sort of momentum, and then you can start like a house on fire. And once you got that confidence, then all of a sudden you start to believe you can actually go all the way. So early penalty from France, and then a try in the 16th minute from Juliard, just after the All Blacks had one of their 3 tries disallowed, by the way. 3 disallowed for the tries from the All Blacks on a different day. It could have been a much bigger score. I don't think it was necessarily unfair that those tries were disallowed, so there is that as well. But all of a sudden, 17 minutes in, France 10-0 up, the All Blacks looking a little bit shell-shocked, to be perfectly honest, and all of a sudden, there was a bit of belief in that French side. Credit to the All Blacks, they didn't panic. It took a while to sort of get into the game a little bit. Dave McKenzie came off the bench for an early substitution for Sevi Reece, and he looked really bright. So, early try from Will Jordan in the 19th minute there from them, just after 2 minutes after they conceded. So very quick to respond, and that was very important, I think. If they hadn't, then obviously it could have really sort of built up, and they could have struggled a little bit. But Bowden Barrett then added the extras over there before Tupou Vaa'i went over the 26th minute. So at half-time, All Blacks had a 14 points to 10 lead. So that little 10-minute blitz really put them into a much better position. Sorry, I lied. Actually, that was at 30 minutes. It's too bit small to read here. LeGarrette added a penalty after that, and then a try from the All Blacks meant they had a 21 points to 13 lead. So they had momentum going into half-time. Now, it was always going to be a case of if they scored early in the second half, they could potentially build the momentum. However, France did exactly what they needed, and Gabin Vera went over in the 43rd minute with LeGarrette adding the extras, and there we saw the trading of blows. We literally saw, if you can kind of see there, New Zealand try, France try, New Zealand try, France try, New Zealand penalty, and they literally just traded blows for a while. And it was, 1 point, then 8 points, and 1 point, then 8 points. That Kaminwaki try suddenly sort of made the game quite close. But I'll tell you what was very important was when that Gavin Veer got that yellow card in 64th minute, we suddenly thought this was the opportunity for New Zealand to go on and win the game. Try disallowed, some big moments of defense. That French defense, we'll look at some of the stats, was absolutely resolute. They did not concede a single point. Whilst, to be fair, they conceded a point right at the end, but it wasn't a try, it was just a penalty. And in the end, it actually didn't really make much of a difference. So that defensive passage is what gave France the opportunity to try and go for the win. And New Zealand took the points in the 73rd minute, which I suppose did allow France back into their own half, but it was the right decision. Because had France won a penalty inside the All Blacks half, they would have been able to have taken the 3 points and potentially win the game. All Blacks said, no, we'll take the 3 points. You must come and score. You want to win the game? Come and score a try against us. Come and win the game like that. And I think it was the right decision. So if we look at some of the stats over here, France with 4.8 points per entry to the 22. Just 5 entries. New Zealand 13 entries, which shows you 2 things. First of all, I think New Zealand need to be more clinical. They did have 3 tries ruled up. That's potentially 21 points. That's quite a lot. But also shows you that the French defense was really, really good. New Zealand, Line breaks, very good. Post-contact meters, lost 22 meters entries. As you can see, always from France. They kick more and they make it count when they get the opportunities. They are far more clinical, to be perfectly honest. So we can look over here that 11 line breaks from New Zealand versus 3 from France. Double the amount of carries, but France far more kicks, well, 4 more kicks, and that was right towards the end that the All Blacks started to kick a bit more. But I mean, well over double the amount of post-contact meters. You can see by the defensive profile, for example. New Zealand looking to line up, but France making endless amount of tackles, and allowing some of the offloads as well. Missing a few more tackles, but they had far more tackles to make. New Zealand, as characteristic, you'd expect a much quicker ruck speed, trying to up the ante, trying to really attack, and that's why they were having line breaks. That's why they were getting post-contact meters, because they were going wide nice and quickly, getting through the gaps of that French defense. Discipline as well from France, not phenomenal. So if we look at the defensive profile here, for example, 218 tackles made from France compared to 121 from New Zealand. Two dominant tackles from New Zealand. To be fair, there were a couple of big tackles from France. I'm surprised they haven't been classified as dominant. 8 turnovers, 1 from the France. Their breakdown work was very, very good, and it was an important part of the game itself. If you do a bit more of a dive into some of the sort of the stat stuff, like I kind of look at the territory and possession. Territory-wise, France with 37%. They don't like territory, to be honest. They kick deep. They say, you guys have the ball. That's how they play the game. You guys have the ball, attack us, and we'll defend all day, and then we'll make it count when we get the opportunity. Possession-wise, much more even. Set pieces, pretty flawless to go. I mean, neither of the team missed a beat with the Lions. I think there's only 1 scrum penalty in the entire game. The restarts are pretty solid. I suppose the one restart, there was a slight mistake from 2 of them. Well, 1 apiece, really. There was a knock-on coming from New Zealand after 1, and there was a charge down from the Garrick, but the actual restarts themselves were pretty clean. Attack, very different, as we mentioned. Penalties conceded, France discipline did cost them 9 penalties with the yellow card. Just the 3 penalties from New Zealand. I mean, that's hell of impressive. To only concede 3 penalties is a huge effort. In terms of some individual performances, Artie Savia back in that number 7 jersey, 20 carries from him. Dane McKenzie 17, Burden Bad 15. I mean, New Zealand was just so full of running, weren't they? But Alex Fisher, I tell you what, remember that name because he was sensational today. Some big tackles, some important tackles, 20 tackles in total from him. And Fabian Holland on debut, 17 tackles from him. Very impressive debut as well. And a couple of big performances. I mean, I think if you look at the team, I mean, for New Zealand, I think Geordie Barrett probably the best player on the park. I think that time at Leinster is really helping him, really playing good rugby. For France, Nolan de Garrick looked good. Theo Atosogbe, 20 years old. What a player he's going to be. What a player he already is. He looked so comfortable today. And this is the exciting thing about this French side. So many young players that just looked so ready. And that's because they play so much top 14 from a young age. Somebody like a Theo Atosogbe, he's been playing at this level for a long time, or at top 14 level, which is a really high level. And you're now starting to see the benefits, which is why this is a warning sign. You know, people have talked about the fact that the All Blacks no longer have Super Rugby, and that's actually affecting them negatively. Well, France have the top 14, and now we're seeing how positive that top 14 is for them, for the development, for the depth, and they're only going to get better as far as I'm concerned. What do you think of the game? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.